Hello and welcome to Unscripted Leadership. I am your host, Heather Orrico, Vice President for Comcast Business. Unscripted Leadership focuses on Comcast Business's role in the tech industry and how it serves its client. The podcast highlights executives' challenges in their respective industries and how technology is enabling better efficiencies and productivity. You can find us on all your favorite podcast sites, including iTunes, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. For our episode today, I have the privilege of talking to Tracy Pitcher. Tracy serves as the Senior Vice President of Comcast Business for Comcast Central Division, which spans across 12 states. In this role, Tracy is responsible for developing, facilitating, and implementing strategies designed to continue growing small, medium, and enterprise business relationships. Tracy previously held other executive roles at Comcast, including Senior Vice President of Comcast Business in the Northeast Division, Senior Vice President of the Greater Boston region, and Senior Vice President of Operations. Welcome, Tracy, to Unscripted Leadership.
Oh, Heather, hello. So nice to be here with you today.
We are so glad to have you, Tracy. It's truly an honor to sit with you and for our listeners to hear from you. You know, this resume, it is so impressive, and you've held all these executive roles at Comcast. You've really paved this leadership roadmap that many can only dream of achieving. So I'm sure the first thing that our listeners would love to hear is for you to take us on that journey that brought you to this point in your career.
That could take a while. So I think I'll just stick with the high points. I'll cover my career maybe a little bit before Comcast even though. You know, when I look back across my career, I've really been in two primary functions, either operations or sales. And while not as sexy as sales, I think the operations was probably the really important part of the business for me to be involved in because it's a great place to learn. When you're in operations, you have to know about marketing, what they're putting out in the marketplace. You have to understand what the sales teams are doing. You have to be prepared to support the customer. And then depending upon your industry, you have to understand what happens to the customer downstream from that. You know, I think regardless of industry, it is true that none of us actually work independently. We all work with or through other folks. And so I think in operations, you really start to learn about that entire customer journey and are able to deliver on what customers expect. So I've been in this industry, though, Heather, about 26 years. I'm afraid to say that, but it's true. I've worked for 4 different operators. I've relocated 8 times, and I would say every move was a good one. You just made one recently. And as a result of all of that, you know, I've really been afforded the opportunity to have a variety of roles. So whether it was working in this industry on the residential side, I did a little bit of that. I have had an opportunity to work on the B2B side. And then, of course, I've had the opportunity to do the general management, which I think has really been incredibly valuable, whether you look at my role in the Greater Boston region or even in my current role. But I would say if I boil it all down and I just think back to what I've gotten out of my career, on the ops side, it's been a key place for learning how to do change management, learning how to do big people leadership, really understanding the customer experience and how to optimize and get efficiencies out of an organization. And then I think on the sales side, you have to do all of the same, but then you also get the responsibility, and I'll say joy, of really having accountability for driving growth for whatever business you're in. So that's very high level, but probably the best way to describe how I've moved around a bit.
You know, I think it's so important that you talked about the customer journey because the lens that you have in the role that you're in is that you can see this from beginning to end, how what we do and the way we move people and lead people really impact that journey. And I think it's so important you brought that up. I know personally it's been a very personal item for you, not just at work, but also in the work you do in your passion projects outside of work and in the way that you give back. You know, we're all trying to figure out, Tracy, how we do this in a meaningful way. And we haven't touched on it just yet, but I would love, and I know the audience would love for you to share, like your board seat on the American Heart Association in Atlanta. How can we do these kind of things in a meaningful way? And what does that look like for Tracy Pitcher along the way for passion projects?
Yeah, so you're using the right words there, passion projects. And I think that's key for everybody is to find what it is you're passionate about and get involved. So here locally, as you mentioned, I'm on the Atlanta American Heart Association board. And The question you ask is why. So heart disease is very close and it's a personal matter for me and my immediate family. So it has ties in my world day in and day out. But the American Heart Association is focused not only on heart disease, but also stroke. And I think folks know this, but maybe they don't. Heart disease is the number one killer in the United States of men and women. So I enjoy being part of something that's bigger than me, that helps us educate and spread the word and get folks really focused on their health, their well-being, understanding symptoms, understanding things you can do to influence it. And one of the phrases that we talk about at the American Heart Association is know your numbers. So don't just trust the fact that you run on the treadmill every day that you're good. Get yourself checked out and make sure you know. But there are two other boards that I'm involved in that are a little bit different than that I'm also passionate about. One, I'm the president of the Bay Point Island Foundation, and the Bay Point Island Foundation is really focused on conservation and preservation, not only of Bay Point Island, but also the low country of South Carolina. So really focusing on environmentally friendly ways to ensure that we maintain this, pristine and amazing coastline that we have in South Carolina. And then the third board that I sit on as secretary is the Regional Science Consortium, which is based out of Erie, Pennsylvania. And they are all focused on science and doing research and education around watershed and the ecosystems that make up Lake Erie and the Ohio River Basin. So that one is really interesting just from the science perspective and everything that you get to learn and talk about, and the fact that you touch people K through 12 through that process of research and education. So those are three particular boards that I'm involved in, and I'm just very passionate about the work that all three of them do.
It's interesting because, first of all, I just learned some more about you in these moments in terms of your impact to environmental and your community in this new way, your passion for work with K through 12. And it's just amazing because, hey, we talked about meaningful a moment ago, and it means something to you. And what you're saying is, hey, run after that, right? Be a part of it. How you operate every day can really bring great solutions and great passion to these projects. It's just amazing for you to share this with us. And I know, look, hey, everybody's bated breath here. I feel it. I know it because you're this phenomenal business leader, and we haven't even touched the technical side of the house yet. So let's transition to the tech side of things. I know people want this mind share from you, Tracy. What technologies are you really keeping an eye on right now? And what do you think our audience should be really paying attention to and following?
I hate to be so obvious, but the obvious one is, in fact, generative AI. And there are so many discussions on AI, and there are so many experts out there that, I won't even attempt to go down deep paths here, but there's probably three areas that I can double down on when it comes to generative AI, for the audience that we're talking to today. So I'll just give three thoughts. One, start playing with it. I think there's like a lot of folks who are a little bit afraid of AI, generative AI specifically. And so I would encourage people, whether personally or professionally, start playing with it, get comfortable with it. It's not that scary. And use it in easy ways, perhaps, like have it rewrite an email for you to see if it can improve it, or just giving it an opportunity to try to help you out and be just a little bit better at everything you do every day. So just play with it. I would encourage folks to just do that. My second comment, though, and again, I'm sure there's been a lot of experts speaking to this, but just a reminder to businesses that most are doing so with public AI tools. So just keep that in mind. You want to be thoughtful about if you're putting any sort of business content out into a public AI tool, you want to make sure it's generic just because of the fact that it is public AI. And then the third thing that I would talk about is we use examples of how we're going to use generative AI to improve the customer experience. And it's true, we can, particularly in spaces of self-service that is so critical to customers today. And when you do AI well, it's fabulous. When you do it poorly, it can be very counterproductive. So I would just say for anybody who's out there thinking about how am I going to use AI to help the customer experience, be really thoughtful about it. Make sure you have great testing, bring non-customers in or people who don't know much about your business to help you make sure that the application really works the way that you want it to work. So play with it, be aware that it's public in many cases, and then, of course, just make sure that the application you're putting in play is fully tested and ready for prime time.
this was just phenomenal advice. So when I'm talking to business owners out there, Tracy, they're starting with the way you started us today. So it's about people, people leadership, right? And how do we leverage that in a way to best support our customers? That there's just not this perfect tool in AI. It's something that needs human intervention. That's just great words of advice. We all have our eyes on AI right now, too. Hey, we're going to talk a little bit about Comcast Business. I know it's all so near and dear to our hearts. The audience wants to hear more from you there. In 2024 has been a pivotal year for Comcast Business. From the way we support our customers, helping them best support their customers, to forging new technologies, network enhancements, and how we do the things that you were just talking about, committing to our communities and giving back, delivering real impact, making lives better, bridging the digital divide. I'm going to go on, but we need you to share with us some of these highlights from 2024 for Comcast Business.
We've received many awards and accolades, but maybe let's go all the way back to the beginning a little bit. You know, Comcast makes significant and ongoing investments in our network every single year. And we do this to ensure that our network is where it needs to be, back to your point about digital divide, to ensure that it's reliable, and to ensure that it delivers the connectivity and the speeds that our customers need. So that's probably at the base of what we do all the time. But you talked about giving back to communities. So I'll share one of our great community programs, which is called RISE. And RISE is a program, we do it annually. It's designed for small businesses. Each year, we select 5 cities, and then small businesses in those 5 cities are encouraged to apply. We select 500 businesses, 100 from each one of those cities. And as a RISE recipient, they receive a tech makeover for their business, advertising support, a grant, and even some educational components. So it's really valuable. I've had a lot of opportunity to speak to some of the recipients, and they just love it, and they all believe it really helps their business. I mentioned when we started this conversation that we have received some industry awards this year. So the ISG Leader in Managed SD-WAN Services and SD-WAN Transformation Services. Also one from Gartner Magic Quadrant, a leader in the global WAN and network services space. So whether it's about our network, whether it's about giving back to the community, or whether it's about continuing to be recognized in our industry, those are all things that we have to be really proud of in 2024, but we're not done yet. We have so much more to do. We're always striving for the next best thing.
I love that you're always thinking about, and you're saying, hey, as a company, we're always thinking about how we do more. We've used this word several times, impact. And I'm always out there telling people, Comcast is not just about talking about it. We're about doing something about it and bringing real impact to our communities. So thank you so much for sharing with our audience more about the RISE program and the investments into our network, managed solutions, things that are really helping our customers scale and grow. Those are really meaningful moments that are providing impact. And we're doing this ongoing. We're constantly evolving with our clients. And I'm going to commit to everybody right now that you're going to continue to come on with us and keep us up with all these exciting things that Comcast does every year. So look, as Senior Vice President for Comcast Business, I'm sure our listeners are also very anxious to hear directly from you on that full portfolio of services that you touched a little bit on. But we know we support businesses really of all sizes. This has been a big ongoing evolution for us as a company. So I think about it from solopreneur all the way to Fortune 100 companies. Can you give us some examples of how Comcast Business helps set business up for success in a few of those segments?
I think that's a great point. We do support, I want to go back to your statement there a moment ago. We do support businesses of all sizes, from the solopreneur, as you said, all the way up to the Fortune 100. We have the portfolio of products and solutions that customers need. On the small business side, we serve more small businesses than any other provider. And if I stay on the small business side for just a moment, I want to make sure that your listeners are aware of Comcast Business Mobile. That's an area in 2024 we've really seen a lot of growth. We've seen more of our customers taking Comcast Business Mobile than ever before. So I would encourage your small business listeners to check out Comcast Business Mobile. They could save up to 60%, enjoying free 5G on the nation's most reliable network. So be sure to go check that out. Who doesn't want to save money, right? And be on a great network at the same time. On the enterprise side of the business, though, we keep talking about Fortune 100. I'm not really sure how many of your listeners actually know that we do business in 100 countries around the globe. And that's meaningful to that Fortune 100. Many of them are also international, and we can support them. We provide secure network solutions on premise and in the cloud. And security, truthfully, I could spend a whole episode on security, but security is a hot topic for businesses, again, of all sizes. And I think this is a phrase you hear a lot, but it is true. It's not a matter of if a business is going to have some sort of security exposure. It's really a matter of when, and everybody needs to be prepared. So back to the supporting businesses of all sizes, we have a solution called Security Edge, which helps with things with like phishing and botnets. But we also offer DDoS, EDR, MDR, it just goes on and on from there. I mean, those are just off the top of my head, a few of the security solutions that businesses are thinking about. But I say that because I would encourage your listeners to visit business.comcast.com. So I'll say that again, business.comcast.com, and go to our press release section, and you'll find our 2024 cybersecurity threat report. There is a ton of great information in there about what we've uncovered, over the past year as it relates to cybersecurity, and that could really help your listeners. So business.comcast.com for more information there.
Wow, Tracy, you shared so much. I don't even know where to start. It's really impressive, all the things that we're doing. And when I started here just 12 years ago, Comcast Business Mobile wasn't around yet. And here we go, evolving again, right? And supporting our customers. The other thing that you said, I want to make sure that everyone listening really understands that as a customer, we will meet you where you are. If you have limited IT staff, we can help partner there. If you have an IT staff that is global and just needs small support from us, we're a great complement, right, Tracy?
That's right. Co-managed or managed, we can do either solution. And that's why I think the concept of being on premise or in the cloud is also important. And then we talked about the EDR versus the MDR. All of those things, I think, really help businesses find the solution that's right for them.
That's right. I love it. Well, hey, before we wrap today, one last thing. You've shared so much goodness with us, but is there any other final thought you would like to share on what you're most excited about for 2025?
Oh, so now you're taking me to 2025. All right. So, last summer, we actually got some information that showed glimpses of improved business confidence. I think that's incredibly important. And so I'm optimistic that as we head into 2025, we're going to continue to see that confidence or optimism grow. And the reason I'm excited about that is that improved optimism or confidence just means potential growth for every business. So that I think is something I'm really looking forward to in 2025. On the Comcast side, we actually do have some free speed increases teed up at no charge for some of our small business customers. We did a little bit of that in 2024. We're going to do some more of that in 2025. And then I guess I'll be high level and broad on purpose, but we have plans at Comcast to continue investing in both our customer experience and our product portfolio. So I'm looking forward to what that means in our consumer B2B space as well as we head into 2025.
Wow, very exciting stuff. I'm going to recap this and say what you just said. First of all, you said you can trust us, right? You can trust us. Then you said, guess what? We're always looking out for you. You gave the example of speed increases, taking care of your next level of needs. And then third, we're looking out for you. So we're watching those trends and really working on how we can continue to complement your business in a meaningful way and give you one solution provider to manage and to partner with.
I think that's right. The one solution provider, the one-stop shop. And I think you hit it well, right? We are your partner helping you power your possibilities as a business for sure. So yes, thank you, Heather.
Thank you so much for your time today, Tracy. We are very grateful that you shared your expertise. It's been our pleasure to get to know you more, and we're excited to continue to hear updates from you on the evolution of Comcast Business and how it partners with companies to meet them where they are, as well as help them scale and grow. And for our listeners out there, Comcast Business offers Ethernet solutions, dedicated internet, Wi-Fi, mobile, voice solutions, and managed enterprise solutions. And you heard it here, security solutions to help organizations of all sizes transform their business. So talk to us today to find out how we can help your business grow and thrive. You can find the Unscripted Leadership podcast published monthly, so we hope you will continue to tune in with us next month and in the future. Thank you all so much for joining us today.